You don't forget a call that sounds like someone begging for help when you check the logs, and it never happened. The first time it happened, I was working the night shift alone at the dispatch center. Nothing out of the ordinary. Some drunk drivers, domestic disturbances, the usual late-night mess. But at exactly 2:37 a.m., the phone rang. And what I heard changed everything I thought I knew about this job, about this town, about what's real. It was a little girl, whispering, barely audible. "Please, come get me. He's in the walls." My blood froze. I asked for a name, an address, anything. Silence, then static. Then what sounded like slow scratching, as if someone was dragging a fingernail across a phone speaker. The call ended. Standard protocol says log it, flag it, move on. But I couldn't. Not this time. There was something wrong with that call. Something deep in the tone of her voice that made my hands shake even after I hung up. I played it back 3 times. The same thing each time. Her whisper, the scratch, and silence. I saved the recording and checked the incoming call list. Nothing. No number. No call. I thought maybe it was a system error, maybe a line glitch. But then it happened again. 3 nights later, same time, same voice. This time she said a name. Caleb. "Who's Caleb?" I asked. She started crying, softly, then louder. The sound was jagged and glitchy, like someone cutting a wire while it was still live. I remember gripping the receiver so tightly my knuckles turned white. And then she screamed. Not a normal scream. It was like something primal, too distorted, like it was inside my head, not through the phone. I dropped the handset. I called in backup, told them it might be a prank. But I didn't believe that. Not really. 2 officers arrived. They helped me sweep the building, check the phone system, even look into older call logs. Nothing. No anomalies. No records of any Caleb missing in the area. No matching voice patterns. It was as if the call never existed. But I still had the tape. I had the audio. I sent it to a forensic technician I trusted, a guy named Ian who works over at County. A week passed, then 2. Finally, he called me back, his voice low, careful. "I don't know how to tell you this," he said, "but that girl's voice, it's not just one voice." "What do you mean?" "There are overlays, multiple vocal patterns, 4 or 5 voices layered on top of each other, some male, some female. One of them doesn't even sound human. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard her whisper. But now it wasn't just her voice I imagined. It was them, all of them, layered behind her words, like something hiding behind a thin curtain, waiting for you to pull it back. Ian sent me a file, a cleaned-up version of the recording. I put on headphones and sat at my desk alone, the station lights flickering just enough to make me wonder if it was a voltage issue. Or just my nerves. I hit play. Her voice came first. But then, behind it, I swear to God, I heard breathing. Deep, wet breathing. Not from the girl. From something else. And then, layered almost imperceptibly beneath the words, I heard one of the other voices. A man, maybe. Low, guttural, speaking some language I couldn't recognize. And in the final second before the call cut out, I heard a whisper that made every hair on my body rise. "Do not answer again." I ripped off the headphones. My throat felt tight, and I realized I was holding my breath. I don't know how long I sat there just staring at the file on the screen, but I remember thinking, this isn't a prank. This isn't tech interference. This is something else entirely. I tried to put it away. For a week, I ignored the file. focused on the normal rhythm of dispatch life. I handled calls about lost pets, a woman who thought her neighbor was a spy, a kid who called 911 because his older brother changed the Wi-Fi password. But the third call came 7 days later. Same time, 2:37 a.m. No caller ID, no ringtone. Just the phone lighting up with the word incoming. I stared at it for a full 10 seconds before I picked up. My hand was trembling so hard I almost dropped the receiver. This time, the voice was not the girl. It was a man. Calm. Too calm. "She's not yours to save," he said. There was a pause, then quieter. "She chose the walls. What do you want?" I managed to whisper. "Not want. Warn." And then the line went dead. That night, I pulled every archived missing persons report from the past 30 years that mentioned children, walls, or the name Caleb. I found one. From 1996. A boy named Caleb Richardson, age 7, went missing inside his family's house, last seen playing in the hallway. His older sister told police that he went into the wall. They never found a trace of him. No prints, no signs of a break-in, nothing. The case was still open, unsolved. The next night, I drove to the address listed in the report. The house was empty, condemned years ago. The windows were boarded up, and the grass had grown wild, swallowing the walkway. I stood there, staring at the building, and then I heard it. A thump from inside the wall, then another. Then a child's voice. "Please, come get me." I took one step forward, then stopped. Because from behind the front window, the one covered in dusty, cracked glass, I saw something move. It was her, the girl, her face pale, pressed against the inside of the glass. Her mouth was wide open. But she wasn't screaming. She was mouthing the words. "Do not answer again." I ran. Not metaphorically. I actually turned on my heel and sprinted back to my car like something was chasing me, though I didn't dare look back to check. The rational part of my brain was screaming that it was just a girl. Just a trick of the light. Just an old window in an old house. But some deeper part of me, the part that wakes you up gasping at 3 a.m. with no idea why, knew better. That wasn't a trick. That was a message. I didn't sleep again that night. At my shift the next day, I stared at the dispatch screen like it might turn into a mouth and start whispering. Everything around me felt warped, slightly off kilter, like the world was still here but thinner somehow, stretched over something you weren't supposed to see. And then the third call came. This time, I didn't even let it ring. I snatched the receiver the moment the screen lit up. Silence. Then, static. Then, the sound of something breathing through water. Like someone drowning, or already drowned, was exhaling on the other end of the line. I said, "Who is this?" No answer. Then the voice came through. A child's voice again, but not the same girl. This one sounded younger, hoarse, and terrified. "Don't let him find you in the dark," I whispered. "Who? Who's looking for me?" The answer was a rasped hiss that chilled my blood. "He's already in." The line went dead. I slammed the phone down so hard the receiver cracked. No one else in the station had heard a thing. I checked the call log. Nothing. I asked the IT guy to pull the phone records again. Nothing. I even checked the security cams in the dispatch room. They showed me sitting calmly, answering a call, nodding silently. No visible reaction, no sound recorded, just me. It was as if nothing had happened. That night, I stayed in my apartment. Shades drawn, every light on. Around 3:15 a.m., the hallway light flickered. Just once. then again. And then all the lights in my apartment went out at once. Pop, like someone had yanked the plug on reality. I froze, in the dark. And that's when I heard it, breathing. From behind the wall. It was slow, labored, thick like it was pulling through damp lungs. And then, I swear to you, I heard scratching. Nails against drywall. First soft, then frantic. And just as I reached for my flashlight, tap, 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 3 knocks from inside the wall behind my bed. I didn't sleep. I sat in the corner, flashlight on, staring at the wall, breathing shallow and fast. And when the sun came up, the scratching stopped. But I saw something that made my skin crawl. Right above my bed, etched faintly into the paint, were words. Too late to not answer. I called out of work the next day. Didn't even make up an excuse. I just texted my supervisor, one word, sick. And I was. Not physically, but something had gotten into my bones. An illness with no fever, no rash, just dread. Like I was rotting from the inside out. The words on the wall didn't fade. I scrubbed at them with bleach, a sponge, even sandpaper. Nothing worked. It was like they were under the paint, or in the paint. Like they'd always been there and just needed the right moment to rise to the surface. Too late to not answer. I thought about breaking my lease, about leaving town altogether. But some irrational, stubborn voice inside me said if I ran, I'd only drag this thing with me, that it would follow, that it wanted me to leave so it could isolate me somewhere darker. Instead, I did the stupidest thing imaginable. I went back to the house from the second call. Daylight made it look harmless. The paint was still chipped, the curtains still limp and stained, but nothing moved. No faces in windows, no flickering lights. Just quiet. Quiet and guilt. I parked across the street and stared at it for over an hour. No one came or went. No signs of life. And yet, I couldn't shake the idea that someone was watching me. Finally, I walked up to the porch and knocked. No answer. I tried the door. Unlocked. The smell hit me first. Not rot, not mildew, but something else. Old dust, stale parfum. Like walking into a sealed room in a grandmother's house that hasn't been opened in decades. "Hello?" I called out. No response. The living room was covered in yellowed lace and furniture that hadn't seen company in years. Every table was covered in photographs. Dozens of them, all in ornate gold and silver frames. None newer than the mid-90s. I moved closer. My blood ran cold. They were all photos of the same girl. The one from the second call, always dressed the same, always the same vacant stare. In one, she was standing in front of a fireplace. In another, sitting on a porch swing, always alone, always still. I looked up from the photos and saw a mirror hanging above the fireplace. In it, behind me, the reflection of someone standing in the hallway. I turned around. No one. I turned back to the mirror. The hallway was empty again. That's when I noticed something in the corner of the mirror. Words, etched into the glass. The third has already started. I bolted. I don't remember how I got back to my car. My memory skips like a scratched DVD. Porch, sidewalk, door slam, engine. That night, I barely spoke. Didn't answer texts. Didn't eat. The next day, I went into the dispatch center like everything was fine. But it wasn't. My co-worker Marie was staring at me, pale and wide-eyed. "You okay?" she asked. I opened my mouth to say yeah, but stopped when I saw what was in her hand, a printed-out transcript of a 911 call. Timestamp, 3:13 a.m. last night. Caller, me, or at least my number. The transcript read, "Operator, 911. What is your emergency? Caller. Silence. Operator. Hello? Do you need help? Caller. He's in the walls. Operator. Sir, I need you to confirm your address. Caller. He doesn't like when I talk. But he said you're next. I looked at Marie, my voice a whisper. I didn't make that call. She didn't answer. She just handed me another paper. Same number, different time. Time stamp 5 minutes ago. I stared at the new printout, still warm from the machine. My number, again. But this time, the call had been placed while I stood right there in the dispatch center. Timestamp, 9:37 a.m. Caller, my personal cell. I slowly unfolded the sheet. My hands were sweating. The paper felt heavier than it should. Operator, 911, what is your emergency? Caller, soft breathing. Operator, can you speak? Are you safe? Caller, long pause. Caller, he says you shouldn't have come back. Operator, excuse me. Caller, he's inside the wire now. Garbled sound. Caller, you're not going to make it home. The call ended with a sound we couldn't explain, a static that rose and fell in strange waves, almost musical, like a lullaby played backwards. I pulled out my phone, numb fingers trembling. No outgoing calls, nothing in my recent history. I checked the timestamp again, exactly when I had been talking to Marie. My phone had been in my back pocket the entire time. The room was spinning. I stepped outside to get air, but it followed me. That sense of pressure in my ears, like when you're deep underwater and your head's about to split. Something was building. I didn't sleep that night. I left every light on. I unplugged my phone and turned it off, but even with the screen black, it buzzed on the nightstand once, twice, 3 times. I didn't dare pick it up. Instead, I stared at the wall, and that's when the paint began to flake again. This time, not just in one spot. The words bled through in 5 different places. Messy, crooked, almost like scratches instead of handwriting. I got out of bed slowly, dread thick in my throat. One said, "Don't let it speak again." Another, "It's learning your voice." And the largest, scrawled across the entire far wall, "Stop answering." But it was too late. I didn't mean to pick up the phone. My hand just moved, like it had a mind of its own. The screen flared to life. No number, just a name. M.E. I answered. Silence. Then, my own voice, crying. I dropped the phone and ran. Drove until the sun came up. Didn't care where, just away. I haven't taken another call since. I left the job, changed my number, tossed the phone into a river 2 towns over. I sleep with earplugs now. I live in the city, surrounded by noise, surrounded by people. I tell myself it can't reach me here. But sometimes, in the middle of the night, when I wake up for no reason and feel something crawling across the back of my neck, I swear I can still hear it, breathing on the other end of a call that never came.